Hello, I'm Dr. Stan Gabryszewski, and I'm honored to have the opportunity to tell you about our study, which will be published in Pediatrics as a regular article. Our study focused on IgE-mediated food allergy, which is the most common cause of anaphylaxis in children, with peanut being a common culprit food. There has been much interest in food allergy prevention following the landmark LEAP study in 2015. In this study, prevention of peanut allergy was observed when peanut was introduced early to infants with the food allergy risk factors atopic dermatitis or egg allergy. Following the LEAP study, multi-organization consensus guidelines emerged, starting with initial early peanut introduction guidelines in 2015, then addendum guidelines in 2017, followed by more recent guidelines in 2021, which encouraged early introduction of peanut, egg, and other food allergens. In practice, there has been variability in the uptake of these guidelines. As such, we wish to ask whether rates of peanut or any IgE-mediated food allergy changed following the publication of initial early introduction guidelines in 2015 or addendum guidelines in 2017. To address this, we examined longitudinal electronic health record data of infants born during these periods. Specifically, we used a multi-state primary care-based database called CER² to identify children up to age 3 with IgE-mediated food allergy based on relevant diagnosis codes, listed allergies, and epinephrine prescription. We determined food allergy diagnosis rates in the post-guidelines and post-addendum guidelines cohorts and compared these with rates in the pre-guidelines cohort. Notably, in the post-guidelines periods, we observed a significant decrease in the cumulative incidence of peanut IgE-mediated food allergy, as well as in those with 1 or more IgE-mediated food allergies, and those with 2 or more IgE-mediated food allergies. In fact, this was true regardless of the child's preceding atopic dermatitis or egg allergy status. Moreover, peanut transitioned from the first most common listed food allergen to the second most common food allergen, surpassed by egg. While milk remained the third most common allergen, its cumulative incidence decreased, similar to peanut. To quantify the impact of the publication of early introduction guidelines, we performed interrupted time series analysis. As illustrated here, we observed a declining rate of 2-year-old children who had any IgE-mediated food allergy diagnosis in the post-guidelines period, as marked by the solid red line. In contrast, the pre-guidelines rate of diagnosis, marked in teal and dotted red, was much higher. Limitations of our study include the fact that diagnosis codes are not necessarily equivalent to true disease. We also were unable to elicit actual feeding patterns of children. And lastly, the generalizability of our findings to outside health systems is not fully clear. In summary, our study provides real-world evidence for a decline in pediatric IgE-mediated food allergy diagnoses following the publication of early peanut introduction guidelines, even in children without preceding atopic dermatitis or egg allergy diagnosis. Our results support ongoing efforts to encourage early food introduction to prevent food allergy. Future studies will be needed to determine food allergy diagnosis patterns following the more liberalized 2021 early introduction guidelines to determine optimal amounts and frequencies of food ingestion to prevent food allergy, and to determine how we can effectively overcome barriers to implementation. Thank you, and I welcome you to check out our study.